call the meeting to order. And approval of agenda items. Any additions?
We need to add, under number 7, new business, personnel, small letter B, Sam Martin. For, what is it?
K
Art?
through 8 art.
Approval of hire?
Yes, K through 8.
Other approval.
Art.
Okay. Did you want to talk about live streaming?
Yeah, at some point. I didn't know where that would fit in, but yeah. Let's see, probably new business. You can do it, after 5 months or something like that.
Yeah, we can do it then if you guys want. Okay, with this, talk about recording and live streaming. Oh, it would be come E and then the rest all change below it. Okay, anything else? I do. Okay, motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
John,
I'll second.
second by Shannon. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. I should back up by saying welcome to our guests, everyone that are joining us tonight. Hopefully we can accommodate you with the video on the screen, the documents on the screen and all. Okay, consent agenda. Minutes, regular meeting, July 12th. Has everybody had a chance to review those and see those? Okay, 12th was the regular meeting, ending the 1 year, starting the new year. That's a long one. Is our next agenda? That's our last one. And you guys don't have to wait for me if you guys want to look at your July 17th, your July 18th minutes as well. Always mark chairs.
We'll bring more in if we need to.
Anybody have any changes or additions to minutes?
On all of them, or are you just looking at the one?
Anyone you want. I'm not. You guys ready to move on? You good? Okay, we got nothing there. July board bills,
Before we move on from that,
minutes.
on the, special meeting, July 18th, 7 PM.
Okay.
I don't know if this is just standard, that this is this abbreviated, but Dwayne Zant made a motion for contract to begin July 20th through June 30th, 2024 with the option of early out and a salary of $104,000. Second motion carried 5 yes, 0 no. I don't actually recall a vote on that. And I guess what is the details there? I mean, this comes down to the question of how does the superintendent's actual contract get formulated? Who does that work? Is that the school attorney?
It was me, Amber, and the attorney. Yeah.
So is that not a board vote then to look at that contract and review that and vote on it as a board? What delegates that authority just to the school,
Yeah.
the board president?
It is a contract, it's number one, it's a standard contract. I mean, it's one of the others, it's right. So,
Okay.
so we looked at it, sent it to the attorney. She virtually had no changes.
I mean, it just went straight off of
Actually, said we could
I mean,
remove some things.
every contract, I mean, I guess that the superintendent has had for,
So, vote it up, put the salary in as in this motion, and there's the contract.
I recall, I mean, to me it got a little bit fuzzy. Of course, I was on teams. But I recall a discussion point at least of month to month on the contract. I don't know if that,
I think that was the option for the opposite.
is that,
Well,
that's the way
that's
that
what we
got
said.
written?
You know, so, and there is a termination clause. If you want, why don't you just get a copy of the contract?
Yeah, that would be, isn't that something that would be kind of standard practice is the board that
No,
it's not?
no. We issue contracts, when we made a motion to hire, then the contract is issued. Jody goes over the contract with our lawyer, and that's standard.
Okay. I got different information from the state, but I guess if that's what we do, so be it. But I don't know if the minutes need edited, it was just kind of a point of discussion about that. But, so I don't remember for sure a vote of 5 to nothing on that.
What would you like to change, or what's your recommendation?
Well, I mean, the minutes are what they are. Change, I guess, to me, it was just a point of discussion around the organization of the meeting itself, so.
I thought we did
I don't remember.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we did.
I thought we did
Pretty sure we
Going
did.
on which one?
on the contract, but I don't remember.
I mean, in my notes I have that the motion was carried.
Yeah.
I guess whether it was 5-0, I mean, maybe not everybody said aye. I guess if that's the case, then.
You want to change it to 4-1?
Yeah, well, I guess we could start there.
We
So
can-
you
we
do
can- I
have
mean,
the
we can
3
sure
yes
amend that
and
if
2
that's-
no.
If that's your recollection.
Well, certainly if it was a full year contract, my recollection was that there was a discussion point around, and so if we just got early out. But my understanding when we were at that point, we had the discussion point, and the discussion just kind of ended as you went to make a phone call. But anyway, my understanding, and again, like I said, I was through teams, was that we were still trying to discuss the contract itself in terms of, I know it was set a month to month the terms, and I believe John.
I thought it was to the point of if, when we list the opening for the next year, if there was somebody that could start early, that was the point where.
Yeah, we talked about that, if that would be allowed. in the
Right.
contract.
Right,
You know,
that was the,
essentially what you sign is a full contract, or that's what's signed right now. There is a clause in there that if both parties agree, you can terminate the contract. Okay, that's actually one that the attorney said we could, you can take that out. I'm like, no, we'll leave that in there. That's what you guys wanted. There's, well, the attorney told me for North Dakota law, you really can't do a short-term contract. You either sign a contract or you don't.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we have a contract with Mr. Bouts, and that's, that stands until, basically until we decide either to part ways or resigns or whatever. It is, and that's for, North Dakota law, I understand, is very specific about how you write the superintendent contract, about how it is. There's really no options to veer this way or that, or, it's just a full superintendent contract, and that's that.
Okay, well, and fair enough, you're right about that there is, state requirements around full contract, but I thought there was discussion points that weren't finished, and the minutes don't necessarily reflect that, so.
No, there was a vote, and it passed, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So with that one amendment, anything else we want to change or look at on minutes? Okay, if not, let's move on to July board bills. Or is it August bills?
I forgot.
Jamal Padding was the Taylor Padding, correct? That was the question we had. That was, this one was already done. Here. I'm sorry.
That one.
And as we do on these bills and travel expenses for Dan Lantis and Cheryl. I think those are the only two. There's tabs on the bottom for JP Morgan, which is credit card bills, and officials, which are. Any questions on board bills?
I need to click on that.
Anybody have questions on board bills? More questions? Okay, so from here, we're going to policies.
Okay, the first policy is GABDB, Title I Dispute Resolution Procedure. This needs to be reviewed every 3 to 5 years by the board. And you can see I highlighted what I amended. Basically, I added in the contact information for the principals, and then this policy would encompass all of the federal programs. So that means homeless and everything. So homeless is different, so it has a different written response date. So rather than 30 days, if you see it says, if the dispute involves a homeless youth, the written response must be within 15 days.
Okay, so this is just merely updating what we already have.
Yep, what's in yellow is updated. Or added.
Do we need to define how the complaint, I mean, do we need a form, like a request for an inquiry, or, I mean, it's a
It
little
lays
vague
out what they
around-
need, the date, the detailed description of the complaint, and the signature. This would be for a title program.
Right.
This is only one of a few of these, right? There's a bunch of these that we have to go through.
That's the only title one. This is not title.
This one encompasses all the federal programs.
So I guess my question is that good enough for a given parent, whatever, to know? Does there need to be more guidance around here, fill out this form, or it just seems like either contact the principal?
If they have a concern with the title program, that's
All we
what
need.
they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Do we have to do 2 readings on that one? Or will that
Yes.
be at the 2 reading one? Okay, so that's first reading. Okay, the next.
The next one is the parent and family engagement policy. This is another required policy to meet Title I compliance. And you can see there's 2 options. And if you go in your supporting document folder, you'll see both. But there's KB1 and KAB2. And I'm looking more at the KAB2 one that encompasses both the district and the school. The first one kind of splits it out. So what I would like you to do is approve the first reading, and then we'll come back and we will fill in all of the information. Under those sections, you need to list activities and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, okay, so these aren't necessarily filled in yet.
No,
So we need to pick between 1 or 2.
yeah. And 2 is basically just the document itself. If you do the first one, then you gotta do a board regulation besides that. But I was gonna sit down with the team and we were gonna take a look at it and put our stuff together.
Where's the supporting documentation?
In the board folder.
Are you finding the KAB?
Yeah, I'm
Policies.
finding most things.
So if you go back to this
Something
first
else?
part here,
There should be a folder that
where there's
policies.
consent agenda,
Okay.
and then supporting documents would be there.
Okay.
So if we. So if we pick number 1, do we have to add like the KAB-BR or the -E?
We have to add the BR for that one.
The BR. if we
The
could.
E goes for both.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking through them, they all look the same to me.
There's something.
It wasn't very exciting
Pretty
reading.
similar.
Is there any considerations, like, do we get most of these back? Is there, I mean, do parents, fill, I'm assuming this is that deal where parents, students sign that compact, is that right? Am I
That would be
tracking this
part
right?
of it, yeah.
Okay,
But this also encompasses any, like, what are you gonna do to bring or engage people in the school? So,
Uh-huh.
like, the consolidated movie night could be one.
Okay.
The color run can be another one. And we just have to make sure that, and that goes with the Title I monitoring, we just gotta make sure that we got everything documented. So then when it comes November, they're gonna say, we need all your documents, so you need to upload them, and then we'll have everything. The
So
goal
those
is-
are the activities you're saying that need to be filled in?
Yep.
Okay.
but does it relate how well we do with this to our accreditation, our overall score, and I don't know if it's still called the advanced ed process, but in Title
Yeah, it's Cognia.
I, okay,
Title I is part of that, you have to submit your title plan. That's because it's all supposed to go together. Your title plan, your school improvement plan, everything should be mirror image.
Yeah.
of what you're working on.
So I guess, is there any considerations with the selection of either one? Which one might help us with where we're at on some of that?
I was gonna sit down with the
Gee.
team and we were gonna take a look at it and see which one would be the best fit for us.
Okay.
And then fill in the information and then come back. But all you need to do is approve KAB.
Right.
And then we'll take care of the
You
one
guys
and
will
two.
fill in the rest. one or
Yes,
two.
and then we'll come back and we'll show you exactly what we.
Okay.
Do you need an individual motion on each one of these?
No,
This
we
is all
can
gonna
just put
happen
a
at once.
consent agenda, I think.
Okay.
You know, if there are no, changes or anything, it's all together in one shot. Yeah.
Move to accept the KAB 2 on first reading?
Oh, we don't need a motion on.
You don't need a
We'll
motion
do it
on each
on
one?
the whole.
Okay, fair enough.
The whole shoot match once we get through financially first. As long as there's any speed.
Okay.
Okay, I'll let Dr. Vogel talk about the next shoot.
So if you remember, in our teacher meeting, we talked about the cell phone policy and not wanting to deal with it, and comparing to the other districts that have strict policies. Their scores are going up because they're spending more time not being distracted. This went to the school lawyer, and so she made one change where she said it's fine if we define in the student handbook what the consequences are, but she did put that it, the regular policy that it ties to, she wanted it to be, let me see if I can find it.
Or she said you possess instead of use?
Yes. She said it was too constricting, so that if it'd be a safety issue or harassment issue, the regular school board policy has to be more open. So she said not to list if you get caught the first time this happens. If you get caught the second time, we can define that in the handbook, but the regular school board policy, she took it out and said that the principal would decide if extreme needs the discipline measures. Because she said there's going to be times in other schools that it was much more extreme than just taking away their phone because it was tied to harassment or tied to a lot of different things. And she said she doesn't want the board tied to such simple things when they need to deal with bigger things. And that gives the freedom to be able to deal with the consequences. But that was the only thing she changed. Everything else is exactly the same except she's suggesting that, so.
Okay, this is a first reading on this one.
Yes, sir.
And then it looked like you had an addendum or something on the side about.
Yes, that was the language use.
Possess.
Yep.
So the only question I had on that as far as possess, like, even in book bags or anything like that, is that considered possess or?
It is.
Just having it out? So I would probably more like it to see use / have out versus possess.
The reason she wants possess there is it's issued for the school part of it, for the fact that if it's in the bag, even though we always have the right, the principal and one other witness has the right to search the bags, which I said that is not going to be our forte.
Mhm.
However, if they seem very distracted and they're in their bags, she said people have had issues with that where they're going in their bag and they're texting and they're coming up, then you can take their phone.
That would fall under use then.
And, well, right, but if they're saying they're not using it and it's in their bag, it's actually possessed. So, that was her language. So, it's a question there, if that's up to you guys, it's right there on the side,
Oh, yeah.
so.
Anybody?
I can tell you the teachers don't wanna be calling me to search bags in the middle of class,
Right.
so.
So how does that look though in practice? Do we just collect phones at the door? What-
Nope, they're supposed to keep it in their locker, and they can have it between classes, but if it comes out, the teacher takes it.
Yeah. And that's kind of been the standard already.
It is.
So what, compared to what the students last year, coming in this year, what's changed that they're gonna need to know?
In our handbook, which of course we will put in the paper, and I'll have to put out an all-call if you guys do approve it, obviously, and send the information out to everybody, make sure they know, is that the second time it comes to the office, there's a phone call to the parents immediately, and then they can have it taken away for a week, so they'd have to hand it in. Whether they hand it in or say they don't have it, we can't see it. If for some reason they say they don't have it and they use it, then it goes to a more extreme consequence, which is ISS, OSS detention, depending on what amount or what the fraction was.
And that's a change from last year?
The second offense is parent phone call
Okay.
and taken for a week. It was taken for a day.
Okay, so last year it was taken for a day,
Yep.
and by taking, the school maintains possession of that phone and
Only
parents
while they're at
cannot?
school.
Okay,
And then they can take it home with them.
oh, okay.
We don't want
Yeah,
to keep phones overnight.
right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Not sure that was, the wording in this quite explained that.
That was in the handbook one.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yep, yep.
Have the teachers reviewed this?
This policy, no, for the fact that they wanted more extreme measures.
Okay,
And so this was the school board policy that goes with it. So it's straight from School Board Association.
okay. Yeah, I guess my curiosity there would be if they had any input on it.
They just know.
Fair enough.
They want to teach. They want people to learn more.
Okay, any other questions on phone policy? Okay, let's roll into financial reports, balance sheet, general fund.
Not in a specific spot. You guys don't have to holler at me if I'm going too fast for those that are watching the screen.
Let's find it online.
This is a combined balance sheet. I'm just trying to find it.
That interest on investment, is that listed as a yearly accrual, or is that certainly can't be monthly, or is it 14,000, not up? That's the accumulated year.
That's like every 3 months.
Oh,
So,
quarterly?
yeah.
Any other questions on the balance sheets? Okay, well, no, revenue.
Next time I'll help.
No, pretty short this time. And just so you guys know, there will be more discussion on budget type stuff at new business finance. Our certificate of levy request has the forecasted revenue and expenses. I'm guessing this reflects some of that. More to come on that. Keep going down the line. If you want to look at expenditures. Same thing. I was actually surprised on this one to see there's a Amber, there's an expenditures today, bottom line on this one, $669,000. Is that what's coming immediate? That's not.
That's what we spent for the month of July.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Just kind of surprised to see that. I'm like, wow, how did that
Was that
happen?
some of the work that was done in June, construction side, that was billed in July, or?
It's possible, I mean, you have salaries, like, yeah, a lot of supplies for the school year that get ordered in at the end of June, and so you're billed out for them in July.
Some teachers opt to go for 12 months salary.
Right, I mean,
Yeah,
I think
so
all
that's
of our
what it's
teachers do
sure.
the 12 month.
On the construction projects, do you bill it to the books the month that the work was done, or when you receive the
When
bill?
you receive the bill.
Receive the bill.
There's not a loan payment in here, is there? Building loan payment?
Yes, there is a building loan, payment, that would be in like the 04 account.
Oh, yeah, the 303,000?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then is the
There you
40,000
go.
interest broke out from that, or is that in addition?
No, that's broke out.
And is that monthly or quarterly?
We pay interest actually twice a year,
Okay.
and we pay the principal balance just once a year.
Oh, I see. Don't refinance now.
No.
Aye.
Don't build on. And that's student activity fund is our last one.
so much popcorn last year.
Yeah, I believe it.
Okay, everybody satisfied with that?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Right, motion, accept, got a second?
I'll second.
If we're approving the entire gamut here, I would recommend that we go ahead and follow the recommendation to use the word possess rather than use. The more I think about that, I mean, you get into little things like, okay, if they receive a text, why? Is that use or not? So I think unless others disagree, I think that might be a good way to go is change that
Are you
language.
looking at me because you're asking?
Pardon?
Are you looking at me because you're asking? It will give that open door for board support. The teachers are not gonna search it out because they don't have time. So yes,
Yeah, fair enough.
they're gonna go off of use. But if there's that sticky situation, it does give
Yeah.
that,
It gives you more leeway.
yes,
So,
yes. And we're not out to get the kids, we're just here to
Right.
teach them.
Right.
It's not our goal. Teachers don't wanna sit there and waste their time.
You're suggesting add.
No, just the
Change it to
change that she
possess?
suggested
Yes,
was
yeah.
use cannot
Yep.
possess, you know,
Yep.
whatever the policy said. Yeah, the actual practices, yeah, that's a good point.
Well, I'm okay with that. Good.
Okay?
Then there is a second reading.
Right.
Yes,
on that too.
yes,
If
so
you
there's more
guys
discussion.
Go home and you're looking at this stuff, or you're looking at next month's board packet ahead of time, you see that. There's your chance to. Okay, any more discussion? Got a motion and a second? Okay, all in favor?
That's
Aye.
what
Aye.
you-
Okay.
Just so you
Opposed,
don't
same
have to
sign?
Thank you.
wait.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Activity director's report.
So Jordan Mason has all her coaches listed. So high school football began August 3rd. Coaches Brady Martin, Sean Alder, Travis Olson, and Thomas Rondrick. Junior high football begins August 10th. Coaches are Mark Heinley and Chance Ravinius. High school volleyball begins August 14th. We have coaches Chelsea Evans, Janae Kronk, and JC Mangum. And then junior high volleyball begins on August 14th, and we have Bailey Paulson and Heather Joppa. We have cross-country track on August 14th also, Coach Ryan Kohler. And that is not co-opt anymore, that's our own. Elementary girls basketball begins August 16th. The coaches are Logan Miller and Cassie Deedy. She did text me and said, make sure the board knows that I'm still looking for one elementary boys basketball coach. And then there's a meeting in September to see if Dickinson Girls Wrestling Co-op goes through, because it's been requested from students. So she requested it from the North Dakota High School Association for Girls Wrestling. So North Dakota High School Association will list it and call her after their meeting, whether it's approved or not. And then below, it talks about coaches' pay salaries. So last year, coaches' pay salaries was approved to go up based on, you might have to help me, teachers' percent of raise. Is that how I say that? On the base salary?
Yeah.
Just on the base, okay. So she
I thought
put,
it wasn't tied.
It's not.
It's okay.
it's not. So that's what she's saying. So she was going by that for her contracts. And so I'd like you to read her paragraph, and then she has the comparison down below. And so I think it was halted to go off just the scale at hand on the bottom, right? Is that the right one?
So is the top the one we're currently using and the bottom is the proposed?
No, the top one's the one they're curling. Is that what you said?
Yes. The
Currently,
top one is the
yes,
one we're currently
yes.
using, the bottom one is the proposed.
Yes, because that would
Okay.
follow the base salary increase. Yep. And so, if you read her paragraph, she just said that it's not a huge increase and she would like to not get far behind with coach's salary. So, and she, I brought my phone in tonight for a meeting because she said if anyone has any specific questions, I should call her and put her on speakerphone if you would like to speak with her.
However, that's not the correct base. Actually, our base this year is 41,200.
So her top schedule is wrong.
No, the top schedule is correct.
The bottom one is,
Bottom.
The bottom one is.
so it'd be a little lower.
Yes.
Okay.
And just so you know, we don't have to make that change that way. It's You know,
No.
I know that
You
the
don't.
thinking goes back to, it's tied to the base, it's tied to the base, but it's not, these are not related. It's purely a suggestion, I think by Jordan.
So if it's not tied, how is it right now? Is it just negotiated or is it?
It's set by the board.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did not vote on this earlier, did we? No. For this, basically this is for this upcoming year.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah,
It's truly set. So last
I think we took a big jump on all of them,
Yep.
you know.
So I have a question too. Do we have a defined list of, I know we've got the sports part of it, but the extracurricular, speech, debate, all that kind of stuff. Do we have, or is there a way to get us who's listed as what, whether it's a head coach or a elementary coach or a whatever, so we can look at that and see who's listed at what, so we know what kind of adjustments we're looking at?
Yep.
Like, big picture, dollar wise, are we looking at $5,000 for the year, or are we looking at $20,000 for the year? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Right. Like, is there a way to get that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can we wait on this till our next meeting, if we get that information?
Yep.
Okay.
Or do you,
It's fine, but then Jordan will just have to let coaches know that they will not be issued their first paycheck, I guess, until you guys decide if you want to, where you wanna go with this.
Well, that's an issue.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a problem.
Can we
Doesn't
do
count
somehow
the
to
coaches.
approve what's existing and then upon further consideration, possible adjustments? I mean, how is that?
Yeah, I mean, it could cost, like, we could just add it to their final paycheck.
Yeah, there you
Just
go.
maybe be a little bit higher than the first paycheck.
It almost be like doing back pay.
Right.
Yeah, he'd basically back pay them
Retroactive.
and then get it on their last checks or whatever
Right.
of the season. Yeah, 'cause I think we went up. We ended up with.
Well, and in all fairness, we were quite a bit behind too, when
Oh,
we
yeah.
decided to go up,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not opposed to, making the incremental increases. I just would like to see
Yeah.
what that dollar amount looks like.
I think if you lower it to 41,200, you're gonna only be about $100 on the head coach.
But she
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
70 something.
The other way to look at it is to say, well, we went, what did we end up at, 4% increase with our teachers and other staff? All that kind of stuff, so you,
3.5 on
3.5, so you can say, well,
Yeah.
just increase these by 3.5, and you kind of essentially
Right.
doing the same
Right.
thing there too.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's what they did. She had was increase at the same percentage of the teachers were.
Well, that's what she was shooting for.
No, it was off the base salary.
41.6,
Yeah,
but you said we actually went 41.2.
Right.
And the reason some schools go with it is so that they continue to have a little
Yeah.
bit all the time. Like Jody said, you don't have to. It comes to an issue with negotiations where you have to negotiate separately for teachers and coaches.
Jordan's statement in here is, when I presented my proposal last spring, we decided to continue to increase the contracts off the teacher's base salary each year, so that we don't, is that a board decision that was made, she's referencing there, or?
It was approved.
So,
What's that?
if we don't do that, are we going back on something that was already?
The minutes basically
No.
say that current school year, like, they
Oh,
don't necessarily say from here on out, or,
Yeah, it is disconnected. So she's right on the 41.6 in that. She was on the 41.6, it assumes see, the teachers jump 1,600, but that's a 400 for the next, another year of service, so that's where it's a $1,600 jump versus a $1,200 jump. So the base jumped 1,200, but, every current teacher jumps 1,600 because you got another year of service, so that's another 400.
And I don't, we can't put that 400 in there.
that shouldn't even be tied to
That
the
shouldn't be
base.
tied in.
Right, because
you're
it's
putting
all years of service
over
right
there.
here, right?
So that's what Amber was saying, it should be 41.2.
So 41.2, and 41.2 is a 3%, the 3% across the board, which I would be totally fine with.
Yeah.
I mean, we just did that.
Okay.
And then
I'll make a motion to accept it based off the 41.2 increase.
Okay, we've got a motion.
I'll second.
Second it. Got a motion and a second. More discussion on that? Okay. but essentially at 3%, I think that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But can we still get a list of which each teacher, or each coach, or whatever is listed at on all activities?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about the back page.
Yeah.
We do this, so. Okay, any more discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries on that. Any, was that all for,
Yes.
Ms. Mason's report?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Doing that. Principal reports.
So I'm gonna share just some updates on some personnel and just kind of go over the enrollment numbers as of registration being done. So on our agenda later, so pending the hiring of Sam Martin and Sarah Getz, to begin the school year, our personnel is looking good. So we should be set to start the school year personnel-wise. Going through student numbers and things like that, I'm just going to go right through and just kind of list them off. So in pre-K, 2 sections. Our AM section, again, this is as of right now, so it could fluctuate by a small amount of students. AM class, 7. Our PM pre-K class has 11. 1 section of kinder with 12 students in that class. 2 sections of first grade broken up into 15 and 16. 2 sections of second grade broken up into 13 and 13. 1 section of third grade with 16. 1 section of fourth grade with 22. And that gives us a total pre-K 18 students. Kinder through fourth grade 115 for a total of 133. I know there's some students pending on the agenda later today too. So again, those numbers could fluctuate, but it would be a small fluctuation.
Oh, yeah, I had quite a few back here. Okay. Oh, it's supposed to be classes there.
And that's all I really needed to share today.
Oh,
Yeah. Short and sweet today, I know.
wow, that leaves more time for the high school.
It's pretty short.
Pressure's on.
Okay. Dr. Vogel.
Numbers, 5th grade, we got 29. 6th grade, we have 17. 7th grade, we have 29. 8th grade, we have 33. 9th grade, we have 20. 10th grade, we have 21. 11th grade, we have 25. And 12th grade, we have 17, for a total of 191. As he mentioned, for personnel, Mrs. Sam Martin will be teaching elementary art and helping out with junior high. And then we have a course split for 5th grade. We did not get a 5th grade teacher, but we have fantastic staff who will be splitting it. It will be split between Mrs. Kronk, Mrs. Bartz, and Mr. Kohler. Mrs. Kronk will teach math, science, and grammar. Mrs. Bartz will teach ELA and writing. And Mr. Kohler will be teaching social studies. So our schedule is very creative so that when we split the class and Mr. Kohler has social studies, the other half will have science. And then when we have ELA, it will be up against math. So they're split in everything except a morning meeting and band, of course, but band's a little bit different where we start in groups for elementary. So that's where we're gonna squeeze our awesome computer programming and cybersecurity that we have to do. So we're
We have to
gonna,
do that.
yes, it has to be implemented this year. So my next thing is we will be implementing K through 12 curriculum this year. I have 2 high school teachers that are credentialed, 1 that will start with electives, 1 that will put it in computer classes. And then elementary, we have some time right now. It's going to be covered in the classroom through some ideas that administration was talking about, and the teachers were right on board. I talked to them today. And so they will be doing coding.org while groups are taking turns at band. We're looking at a couple of things for the library of different coding, and then cybersecurity. We have some curriculum, and we'll see where we can implement it, whether it's library or classroom teachers. We'll try to do what we can in library, but we also want to make sure we're maintaining our B.
What's the state requiring for this cybersecurity? Is there an hour requirement or what are they?
I did send an email because it was generic. It was pretty general. I had a principal meeting earlier this week, Monday, and so we all put in some information or requests of guidelines for that. What they're saying right now is that it has to be implemented K through 12. They're saying our freshmen right now have to graduate with a full credit under computer programming code and our cybersecurity code. So our freshmen right now have an elective that they can start with to start getting that credit. They don't have to take it right now. We might have to implement it somewhere else to make sure they cover a full credit. And then to come, they will give me a guideline of what is expected for me to bring to the board decide on an implementation plan. And then that implementation plan that we decide goes to the state for approval, and then they give us more requirements for next year, who needs to be credentialed or not, give us 1 year ahead of time. So if I have to do that through the library, I will get that credential. If we can continue to do it through different things, we will.
Wow, it's another requirement tacked on.
Yep, and then they will require us to change our graduation requirements, because it has to be added on that also.
So is it one credit covering both cybersecurity and, it wasn't 2 credits, it was just one?
It was 1 full credit, but they didn't specify if it could be all computer programming, all cybersecurity, or half and half.
Oh.
It's like, as of right now, 1 group, it'll come out as 2 codes. They're in the planning stages, so we will have to do implementation of that. But that
So they
will be
went
coming.
about this as a separate item, not some standards put into existing subjects. Is that what I'm understanding?
It can be in existing subjects this year,
Okay.
yes. After next year, they will give us guidelines if it can be in existing or if it has to be mandated separate.
Okay. Is that legislature?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, that one looked at, I'm surprised they passed that one.
So it was really exciting that we could take art off of our elementary teachers and then put one thing right back on. So,
Or Russia.
and that's all I have. It's pretty short.
I'm gonna bounce back and make one correction.
Sure.
Kinder has 20 on this roster that I'm looking at. I think it said 12, I misspoke, so I apologize.
20.
Better yet.
20 kinder.
That would be that
That's
Chris
way
Dunn
better.
look I saw over there, kind of like.
I felt it.
Very good. Yeah.
I just had one question.
Yes.
Is the gym completely done now?
Couple things, just like some finishing touches. So bleachers are and everything looks nice. I don't think the hoops have been adjusted for that difference of the elevated floor. And as of today, the volleyball holes for the poles still weren't cut in. So I can make some phone calls on that. I'd prefer, I don't know when, do you know when the first day of volleyball practice is?
Monday.
Thanks.
That's why BJ called frantically to get the holes cut this week.
Okay, because I would prefer them not use the rolling volleyball nets on the floor, because that's a big scratch waiting to happen, and that's a big repair that's going to have to happen. So when I talked to Ross today, he mentioned that they may have come in today and they didn't. So still got 2 days this week to get them in there. I got to call the plumbing too for some missing urinals that we still have. But as far as the gym goes, just the ribs being adjusted, volleyball holes, and then we're working on cutting the doors to the underneath the stage again, just to adjust for that.
Oh, yeah.
That floor being elevated too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Was there a conflicting issue for the gym? Is that why junior high is over there and high school's here? Like, was there stuff going on at the same time that the junior high couldn't be over here?
Can ask. We can ask her.
I was just curious, because I noticed they were both at the same time. And one was over there and one was over here. And I wasn't sure why. Okay.
We have to ask her.
That might be our fix if we have to do that next week.
Change our practice
Yes.
times.
I have one kid in both. That's why I know that.
How about the
Send her a
scoreboard? New scoreboard yet at Taylor? You noticed it?
I think it is up,
I was thinking of the clock management.
The one on the wall.
the one on the
Yeah,
wall, yeah,
yeah.
that's up,
That's up? Oh, nice.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, it wasn't last time.
I was last,
How
when
about
was
the-
I in there? Maybe not, I remember seeing the clear thing on the wall. There's a lot of greater stuff out there that wasn't there before, and I'm trying to think if it was
We got school board additions to this.
Sunday. I was
You
just.
haven't been in, or are they up?
I don't think that they're up to see it.
Have we been
Yeah,
received, have they been received even?
The sideboards,
I don't think
know.
so.
I don't think they have.
they made,
They're
yeah,
probably
some school board
backward.
were not being, yet either. When would,
We might want to follow up to find out what, that was like,
well, that's like last spring, we did all that.
no, it was later. It was later, it was like winter, fall.
So Kelly would have had to order them. So,
I know, we
I'm pretty
agreed.
sure they all got ordered, right?
I know they
Yeah.
were ordered.
They were
I thought they all got ordered.
Yeah.
I think we should probably follow up to see when they're supposed to be here.
Oh,
Because if we're gonna start volleyball games, then.
I guess the old clock in the gym won't work, because they took out the,
Not over there. Here,
here it'll work, but in Taylor it wouldn't, because there wouldn't be wiring anymore.
cause they're gonna move that onto the stage.
Yeah, well, then, and then, yeah, the new scoreboard will be wireless,
Right.
controller and all that, so. And I'm guessing all the wiring just got, we just demoed up the floor, and the bleachers and all that, so.
Right.
Actually, went out the bleachers probably.
yeah, we'll wanna follow up on that.
Yeah, other than that, it's about
Is that Daktronics?
electronics, yeah.
And that's for the,
Both schools. So we're getting
the
the
stat boards on the side?
staff boards here, and then the new, just the center board over there. And then this, I guess this actual panel to operate it too,
Yeah, it should all
over there.
Yep.
And then we were doing shot clocks here, and like there was.
And shot clocks, yep.
Yep.
Yep, shot clocks. Which is in order.
Okay, principal's good? No thought of anything else?
Good.
All right, thank you. Thank you much. Old business. RTA, facilities update, I guess we started in on that. Perfect.
Yeah. I don't know if they came today, but hopefully, H.A. Thompson and Son, they were either today, they were gonna come, or tomorrow to get the fire up there conditioner. So Danny's is done, the power's over there, it's just ready for startup. It'd be nice if we could get it started up before volleyball practice.
Yeah.
That would be sweet.
And then as far as the TRE one, we're still in the engineering stages.
I made some more phone calls last week on it. You know, that Jason guy that came out and engineered, like, oh yeah, this will work. Crickets. Yeah, exactly. I can, so, I don't know if we need to fire him and find another engineer or what, but I'll keep calling him.
Anything?
I don't think so. No, we wouldn't. He hasn't done it.
Right, that's why I just want to make sure.
Yeah. He hasn't done anything. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was slow on this project when he designed, you know, the air conditioning for this gym and the humidification. But he got it done, and it was, I mean,
Is he with H.A. Thompson, or is he with an
No.
independent contractor?
no independent contractors, so they're just an engineering firm. So he's a mechanical engineer, and then he'll put together the design, drawings and specs, and then from that, we send it out to bids. You know, so you're kind of stuck not being able to get bids until you get that design done.
Does H.A. Thompson have an engineer that can do the same thing?
It's probably not a bad question, check with them. Yeah, see if they've got
Because
it.
they were the only one that gave us a bid on this, weren't they?
No,
Oh, no, there was one other one, that's right, but it was like.
It was like $100,000 higher
Right.
Yeah.
on the other one. Yeah. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
They were like, we'll give you a bid.
Yeah, you want a bid? Here's a bid.
We don't want to do it, so here's a bid.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep on that case. I got him in my cell phone. I'll keep calling him until he calls me back, says yeah or nay, or take a hike. Okay, transportation.
I think we found a Route 5 driver, the gal, what's her name?
Christy Bartow.
Christy Barton. She is working with Harlow's to get certified. So I'm hoping that we can have that done before school starts.
Nice.
Also, I have Ralph, Chris Adamson, and Jason Schmidt lined up for extracurricular. 3 drivers, buses. And I also talked to Burton at Harlow's just to see if, you know, if there's times when we're short, if he could provide a driver first. He said he would come up with a contract and take a look at it. As far as buses and stuff, he doesn't have any spare buses, right? Vehicle inventory and maintenance log, I think you guys wanted to take a look at all the buses and start looking at possibly
Yeah.
getting rid of some.
See how many miles that were on them and
Yeah,
stuff.
so BJ put this all together for you guys. And then I know bus 4, we're gonna take that one off the route, and then since, Mr. Harnish has his air brake, then we'll use that other
Okay.
smaller bus that has the air brakes that we got.
Yep.
We'll use that one instead on that route.
Okay.
Do you know which bus number that was by chance? The one with the air brakes?
That's 9.
Right?
So 9's replacing 4.
So 9 is a listed under activity bus Freightliner, 36 passenger.
I know, I remember we bought it, I think it was from Billings County.
Yeah.
No, it was cheap.
That
Yeah,
one
it was
hasn't-
really cheap.
It hasn't gotten used much.
Well, BJ said he wanted to start it up and it didn't start, but
Yeah.
when it sits there for that long.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's only got 53,000 miles on it. So, we got a few buses getting some age on them.
So that's just for you to peruse through and the transportation committee as well, as we start looking at what you guys want to do for buses. What you think.
So, is bus number 4 really a 2000 model?
Is that the one we bought from Glenn? I think it is.
Well, that's not mileage under that.
That sounds right.
I think it is,
I
right?
think it is, yep.
Yeah.
What does it look like in the funding model? It's the, so the school owns the buses, correct? These.
Except,
Except for Ernie.
Correct, yeah, it's at the bid route. And are we paid by the state per mile that we put on them, or are we somehow reimbursed for the actual purchase of the bus as well?
Miles and your passengers.
Okay. But the state doesn't do any
Not
sort of
for-
reimbursement for the purchase?
Not for purchasing buses.
Okay. Or what are other schools doing? Are they purchasing, or is there a lease plan type system, or is there any other options for?
Most, I mean, if you can find a good used bus, but that's hard to come by. Most of everyone runs their wheels off. But, and if you're gonna get a new bus, you're probably looking at a year and a half out before you can get the bus.
Right. But are any schools using any sort of a fleet plan, lease plan type of leasing the vehicles?
I don't
where,
even think you can, I don't even think they'll do it.
I've never heard of such a
Never heard of it.
I haven't.
I know some people contract with Harlow's.
Right. And they're contracting the driver and the bus.
Yeah.
Yep. We did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very,
expensive.
very expensive.
Yeah.
The only manufacturer I know of right now that's a little ahead of the game is General Motors as far as production. So that, if we were gonna look, that would be the manufacturer I would suggest looking at, but I don't know if any buses in the cards or not.
When you say it's expensive, did anybody run the economics though, of purchase long-term versus a contract like that. You know, seems cheap one year and then we're gonna buy, you know,
Those
300,000
Those
in
Thomas
buses.
buses that we bought, those have been
Those
good.
are good.
They've been good, and they're made by Freightliner. And we bought them, and those were the last ones, probably the last ones that we bought. Bigger buses, you know,
And they were new.
and they were brand new when we got them. But, yeah, it's, I mean, that, Gladstone route was through Arlo's. The last year we did it, that was insane, what we paid. That's why we just decided we were gonna try to run our own. But then you run the problem of finding drivers, so that's the hardest thing for us.
Yeah, probably is the hardest thing. You know, the expense of the buses isn't too bad, or it's manageable, you know, we can update every so often.
Right.
Which I think we should be looking at, looking at it over once, or whatever we should be doing to keep buses up to date. But
All right, any more on that? We got the bus driver workshop, annual workshop lined up for Wednesday, August 30th, from 5 to 8 p.m. And they'll be doing offensive driving. Any other transportation questions?
finance,
I'm gonna let Amber talk.
So, I talked to our auditor last week, and he said he is still working on the audit. So he's just had a lot of adjustments that he's had to make. He's hoping to have it done by the end of this month.
Are we paying him by the hour?
No, it's a contract.
Yeah, it's okay.
yeah, that's a contract.
Okay.
Was, somebody out Brady Marks still helping us out with that, or not? Or not necessarily?
Not a whole lot.
Okay,
I
it's
mean,
it's
just
the
when
auditor making the adjustments.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, the auditor's doing all the adjustments, yeah.
Okay, any concerns with that? You're happy, it's going smooth, okay. Anybody have questions on the audit?
Grants.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ESER 2 and 3 information.
Okay. So if you take a look at this, ESER $2 expire this year on the 30th of September. So you can see the grant award was $279,638, and so far we've submitted one claim for $48,335. So we got $231,000 that we got to spend before the 30th. I did look into possible using the funds for the HVAC project, and I was communicating back and forth with Adam Tesher from DPI, and he basically said that districts that have tried to use the ESSER funds, when they got to the part where the federal government says that you have to pay this much amount of money for salaries and everything else, it blew their project out of the water as far as for expenditures. So, and when you go to, if your project is over $150,000, you're supposed to do school construction approval. So we didn't do that. He still wants me to fill it out because the project's 106. Well, it's going to be more than that with Denny's and electrical.
Yeah.
So then once you fill that out, then the state approves it. Then you have to fill out the ESSER one, and then you gotta make sure that you procured your architect, your engineer, the whole 9 yards, and then have to pay that salary, so I just kinda gave up on that. Unless that's something that you wanna look at for the TRE project, but like I said, Adam said that most times when you get to, that federal salaries part is when it really gets.
It's basically a prevailing wage schedule.
Yeah.
Federal, so then your contractors have to use that prevailing wage schedule when they're on this job. So they, so if I'm normally paying a guy $30 an hour, and federal government says no prevailing wage for, that sheet metal guy bending ductwork is $45 an hour, then that's for that job, and then of course they'll bid court.
Well, so if we're not spending this up by September 30th, what happens? We just lose it?
We will.
But yeah,
Amber and
we
I
would
have
lose
said,
it.
yeah, we would lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I get all that, but if I understand the intent of this, it was for HVAC, improve air quality, get rid of viruses, right? Is that? kind of the
Air
way it went?
conditioning did qualify.
Right.
But like I said, this project here probably wouldn't work because we're kind of behind the 8 ball. It needs to be when you're starting out, so then you make sure that you're getting all those. The salary thing could be huge.
Oh, yeah.
But if that's something the board wishes to do for ESSER $3, we could definitely fill out the paperwork and see what happens.
Yeah. So you say it will be spent up. We've got earmarked projects already that we're gonna put claims in on?
Amber and I are sitting down and figuring out what can go in there. So, for example, $47,000 in computers. We put that in there. iPads, $10,000. Curriculum, science curriculum.
Was like $45,000.
Oh,
All qualified.
So there's money to use it,
Right.
we won't lose it,
Right.
but
That'll
so then the ESSER 3, we could try using that.
If you wanted to go that route, we could try and use,
Probably run into the same issue with the salary.
Right.
But is that really an issue? I mean, I get it. It's ridiculous, it's out of price, but so is my tax bill. So we put this money's earmarked. If we don't use it, we lose it. It's kind of the system we're in.
But if
Like
we
it or
could use
not.
it, if we could use it for something else, so say we could do the job, the air conditioning job for $100,000, but if we do it the way that they're saying we have to, it costs $140,000. Why not use it towards something else and save $40,000?
Yeah, if we can, great, but at the same time, versus
Because I don't think-
losing a
the way it
$250,000
sounds,
back.
we're not in danger of losing 2.
No.
So now 3, we have a little over a year to figure out what to use it on, and if we have to.
Yeah, do you think we would need to put the Taylor HVAC project on 3, or?
I don't think so.
I mean, we've got time on that one right now.
Right.
We still don't have an
But we
engineer.
need to start looking into, because it's 120 days, so when you make that purchase, you have to make that claim within 120 days, otherwise you gotta write a letter and say, sorry, we missed the date, whatever. So, I know, and then going to ESSER 3, that's next year at the same time, but there's a caveat with that one, that you have to spend 20% of the funds on lost learning. And I've been looking through the stuff, and I think he claimed, but that would be 125,000, and there's 112. But I gotta double check what really fits in that learning loss category, so we make sure we get that taken care of right away. I know if you were like adding an additional counselor or adding anybody new, then you could take that salary for the whole year and use that, but I don't think we have any new positions this year. Right? I mean, it's just
I don't know.
6th grade teacher with Sharon last year, now there's a new one, so it's not like it's an added. Does that make sense? Kind of where we're at with that. And then I did attach, it gives LEA use of funds. So it gives a list of kind of things that could be accepted.
So I guess if I'm following you, you're saying that adding a position is something that could be considered in the with the ESER 3?
For what?
Or adding positions?
Yes. I mean, if we added a position, then you could use that salary, because it's a new position. You can't fund a position that you already had.
Right.
Then if you add a position, you have to maintain that position.
Yes, you can use that ESER dollar for that year, but then you
Then
have
after
to
that,
pick it up
That's
after
on the
that.
district. So that's a little bit of a gotcha there. I mean, add it if you need it, by all means. I mean, you would take care of the first year. And
So does
if
that
it's a true
count
need.
towards the 20% burning loss?
That would,
Position?
yes. But I know we got some intervention programs that we could possibly.
We are looking at intervention programs for our title and our special ed, because for the title report, we need a research-based program where we all can track exactly what we're doing at all times for each student. And then that has to be monitored in our Title I folder for the state. So we have some meetings coming up for that. And teachers will be involved in deciding which best fits their programs and how to best monitor their students.
But if you just want to take a look, and read through that allowable use of funds, and then maybe you can come up with an idea of where we could possibly, and then we could, explore it.
Absolutely.
Because, you got $513,000 to spend, and you don't want to.
And it can't be banked?
No.
Okay.
All right, any questions on the ESER? Title I monitoring, it's basically gonna be the same as last year. Since we didn't meet compliance, then we start the whole cycle over again. And we will start gathering all our documentation, and usually it's November is when they start having you submit your stuff. So what the plan is to get it so it's streamlined, so there's folders and templates, so we can get all this evidence in one spot, and everybody knows what they need to be gathering and collecting. So then when it comes time to submit stuff, it's all there, it's all ready to go. And that way the principals can also look in that folder and they can see, okay, do we got what we need in here? And then they can go communicate with the title teachers.
But you have it set up so that will be followed every year, so that when they randomly do a 3 to 5 review,
Yes.
it will be.
We want to just get in the habit of doing it, because that is, you're out of compliance if you're not. So,
So how many years, where are we at on this? How many years have we not made the requirements for improvement?
well, they do what, every 5 years?
This was
Right.
our 5-year.
So 2022 to 3 was the 5-year?
We started getting emails in December or January? January of 23.
Okay.
So yes, his first review would have been November of 22. But previously, Mr. Bouts was here for that other 5-year, and that we met.
So basically, we're 1 year out of compliance, or is that considered 5 years?
Well, they only
out?
checked us once, so
So,
if they would have checked us 5 times, we'd be out multiple. Well, no, probably not 5-3.
But the results of put us in this situation where we're
where we,
every year now.
your penalty is now you have to get monitored the next year.
Right.
So if we
So-
don't fulfill what we need to get done this year, then they're gonna say,
Monitor again
we're
the
gonna
next year.
monitor you again next year.
So we just talked about ESSER funds. Do we need resources for this? You're talking about, you know, do we need a facilitator? Do we need somebody to help with Title I?
Well,
You know, is that a temporary year
Yeah.
position that we need to be looking for?
1.5 over at TRE. We can't find 5th grade teachers, so I mean, we're using part of
Right.
Mrs. Bard's for that.
He's talking instructors, I'm sorry.
Correct, yeah, no,
Okay.
I get he's talking big picture of the whole staff.
Yep, yep.
Just my mind goes to, and I've been involved in this, I've facilitated it in Wyoming, so same deal, did a year improvement. And, you know, I get it, it's a lift, so I talked to the state myself, I talked to Michelle at the state, went through where we were at on some things. I don't know, it just seems to me like it would be wise for us to invest, to do the best we can here to help teachers on this.
And that's why Mr. Beltz had brought up some different programs that we are meeting with our teachers regarding,
Are you?
because anything to save them time for that progress monitoring. They are progress monitoring, but we don't have a research-based system that
Right.
monitors it for them, so this will save them time. And then what happens is they do a diagnostic with this, and it's tied with our STARS Renaissance reporting that we already do for data. And so then they run this diagnostic, if they choose to go with this program, and then it automatically gives them
Right.
exactly what the students need to work on,
And
but it
that was
also
the
gives them
STARS?
learning and, yep, and we
Yeah.
already do STARS.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a little seamless.
So if we go through this and everything's fine after we're doing the changes that we're making, is it something that the board should say, this is what we're gonna follow for the next superintendent? Because, I mean, if it's working, it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Right,
So is that something that we should consider doing? Like, hey, it does work, let's keep doing this, I don't care what your idea is, this works for us, you know, type thing? Or how do you, I mean, what do you, because
The
if you do all this
system-
work and somebody new comes in and says, nope, we're gonna do it this way. I mean, I wanna make sure that we're not doing all of this for nothing.
Right,
Because
so-
that can be super frustrating.
The system that he's setting up for Jesse and I is to continue monitoring after he leaves. And so it will be online, open, it will be with us, our title teachers, our sped teachers, and then part of some of our leadership team. So most of our decisions that even come to the board or even practices are made by those teams. And so when a team makes that and we continue to follow it, it's not changed until the team makes a different decision because it's either not meeting what we need or we have a new advanced program to save time, meet better needs.
Right, but my concern is the next superintendent that comes in, if they say, this is the way that I did it, this is the way we're gonna do it, and we don't necessarily agree with that, is that something we need to set up a fail-safe to make sure it's done the way that we're putting all this work into doing it now?
Well, basically, it's just making a system so we can gather our paperwork.
Right.
I mean,
What their,
so-
it's their expectations.
Yeah, I mean, we have
We
to,
really can't deviate, that's why we did.
Right, I just wanna make sure we're not
Yes,
doing
no, I
something for
understand,
nothing.
cause you're supporting and saying,
Right,
okay, like, we don't wanna
right.
do this now and then you guys are failing and
Right.
we need to do something different.
Right.
And I'm very thankful for your support, but it's their recommendations, we're just making
Okay,
a system
okay.
and a share file for all
All
of
right,
us.
that makes more sense then, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
But it does have to be done continuously
Right.
throughout the year. Like, we have to be
Every
sticking in
year.
everything we're doing so that anytime they choose to monitor, everything's right there.
Right.
and I know I've been talking with the state, would like to do something different besides wait 5 years, you know. Get everybody a folder up in the cloud and put your stuff up there and they can randomly pick instead of waiting 5 years and then, because I know what happens, you sit there, it's 5 years from now, and then pretty soon, oh my God, you're scrambling, trying to find all this stuff. And
So
it's not that the
do we-
parts and pieces aren't there, more than likely, most of them are, it's just that we don't have it documented correctly in the way they want it done.
So I think you just answered the question I was gonna ask, but do we feel like it's just an administrative issue where we don't have the collective data, evidence that, or do we have some other fundamental things where we're possibly not making a standard or district assessments or other types of things that aren't?
No, I would say that it's basically the paperwork.
Okay, So it is mostly administrative.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if we get the paperwork down, we'll have no problem.
What's the concern of the paperwork? Is it that we don't have enough time? I mean, is that the classic adage, I don't have enough time to do this, or I don't have the right program, the right
It
support?
might be, okay, who's supposed to do that?
Okay.
Right? You know,
Roles and
so-
responsibilities,
Right, so we need to talk about, okay, you need to, this is your job. So, for example, like, in the fall, you need to have, a fall meeting for parents. To just describe
Right.
your Title I program and whatever. So, the Title I teachers need to be in charge of that. They can figure out however they want
Right.
to do it, but this is what we need for evidence, so, you know, you guys plan it, but this is what we need every time we do something.
And we could probably take this offline, but I'm just curious. I mean, if the board can help, if I can help with that, is it that, so you present that to the teachers, are they going, holy cow, I have no idea what's the resources I need? I mean, can it be just a online Teams meeting? Does it have to be a scheduled night? I mean, I just wondered where we're at with supporting that, you know.
It can be a conference call with somebody from West River
Yeah.
Student Services. I
Right.
mean, just like the color run could come as family
Mhm.
engagement, parent-teacher conferences. I mean, we can make a whole huge list,
Yeah.
but that's what we need to sit down and do is
Somebody
maybe
needs to do that, yeah.
and then this one fits here, this one fits there,
Yeah.
and then get it all squared away. So, because when you submit those documents, you have to label up in the corner which one is taken care of.
And just for information.
For sake, if I'm understanding this right, this is federal funding to the tune of 2-point-something million for the district, is that correct? No, it's not. I don't know if this is.
For Title I, last year it was 190,000.
That's all.
It's a lot of work for,
Our Title I receipts was 190,000.
and 65,000 of that was from the, award that TRE.
I'll be darned.
This year it's 121,000. So, that basically covers 1.5 FTE.
Wow. So I'm not following. So you were talking about the staff that it funds, or were you talking about
Yeah.
the total school funding that comes through the Title I?
For the Title I program, it was 190,000 last year.
Okay.
For this year, it's 121,000, and I have that broken out also. There's also federal dollars that you get for the food program.
Right.
But that's separate.
No.
Yeah, so if you have to hire another admin position to organize Title I, it may not be worth it.
Well, yeah, you get into that discussion of what makes sense, but,
Any other questions?
Okay, new business, personnel.
We have Sarah Getz, and each of these would need a separate motion.
A separate motion.
Sarah Getz is given full-time para. And TRE.
You already, okay,
I'll make a motion to hire Sarah
okay, we have a motion. Second by Dwayne, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Okay, Brooke Haas, RT, Public School Paraprofessional. Moved by John, Brooke Haas, second by Shannon. Discussion on Brooke Haas, paraprofessional. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. And then we have the additions of
Sam
Sam Martin.
I'll make a motion on that as well.
And that is not full-time.
Second.
That is a little less than part-time.
A little less than part-time.
Moved and seconded by,
And she's gonna do mostly,
All elementary and help out with junior high. And the only reason she's less than part-time because that is on her terms.
But she's not one of those, what did you say? Art?
Yep, she'll be doing art for K through 6 and then junior high. She'll be helping.
Okay, any more discussion on Sam Art? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Open enrolls. Who has those?
Mr. Bounce ran to the bathroom.
Oh,
Wait a second.
Anybody else need a break?
I'm good.
Sure take one if.
Do you want me to turn the air conditioning down?
Oh,
Perfect.
It's comfortable.
Absolutely. Anybody else want water?
Yeah, I take a water, sure.
I'm good.
I'll take one. I'll go with you now.
John's going out. He's
Okay.
my machine closer. We'll be right back. We're getting water. Do you need one?
No,
You found all these bus drivers and that you couldn't find a 5th grade teacher for it?
Twist my sister-in-law coming out of retirement out of Mont. Go away.
She said, no way.
Who's your sister-in-law? Mont. Oh, yeah, okay. I taught in Mont for a few years.
Yes, I've done that for quite a while.
Yeah.
Shane was retired. I said, just 1 year.
With Richie, Harnish having his,
That's,
airbase now, is he gonna do some activities, or is that not what he needs? Cause that's what we had heard, was that he was gonna do some activities
You know,
driving
we
as
screwed him
well.
for so long.
well, yeah, but we'll see how that works with the route.
Yeah,
And then who's gonna drive that
right, who's gonna
bus?
drive his route at the end of the day, I suppose that.
That puts it, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you though.
Anybody?
Nice. Question my 900?
Yeah.
6,000 bucks. The last question, whether. Maybe Shannon can teach you.
That's crazy.
Everything was so dumb.
Put a spindle in a hub from a disc. Just a spindle in a hub with the back, 686 bucks.
Yeah, so they do 13 by 456,000.
Somebody's making a lot of money.
Combine 78 for us.
Oh,
Yeah.
pick up at 7.
But you know, we were waiting for $4.
I think if we get on a $4.
Well, yeah, you know.
So, throwing information.
Yeah, I'll check with the DSU students that I have in my contract with.
You'd be on
They're all-
John Denver.
Yeah, I think the DSU still on the same, so yeah. They don't
You'd be up there in
even-
the southeast.
Catch up.
Yeah, that's not that far.
Oh, great.
No, it's not. We have it on the
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You wouldn't survive. You'd be in the hole all the
I
time,
probably wouldn't.
guaranteed. We still
All right, ready to roll? Yep. Okay. Open enrollments.
All right, first we have the Haas family, and they recently moved, so the waiver deadline is, or it's waived. The deadline is waived, so we have a first grader and a fourth grader, right?
Yes.
So-
Originally, they applied as a 1st and a 5th grader.
Right.
And she has the option. I did say, you didn't do that because of open enrollment. She said no.
Okay, that's
It's
what I was
supposed to be
gonna
1st
ask.
and 4th. So
Okay,
I did
so-
call her and I specified
Right.
with her.
Because obviously we wanna do what's best for the student.
Yep.
Just to get him in.
And she said this was.
Okay.
And she was his teacher last year.
Okay.
Yeah, you
We can do the Haas family, yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept open enrollment on the hospital.
So move.
Motion by Dwayne.
Motion. Oh, second.
Second by Damien. Okay, any discussion on the Haas family? Seeing none, all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Open enrollment Lee family. What first grader? Split it.
Let's see. They also moved, so the deadline is waived. We have a preschooler, first grader, and a second grader.
I'm not super familiar with pre-K. So the AM and the PM, they're 7 and 11. If they chose to go PM, is 12 still a manageable number for pre-K, or is that getting?
Yeah, you can go up to 16.
Okay, yeah, I just wasn't sure how that looked. I'll make a motion to accept open enrollment for Lee family.
Okay, motion by John.
I'll second.
Second by Shannon. Any more discussion on Lee family? We're good with that one. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Alright.
Can you do that for me?
Oh, are you okay?
Okay, Bouts family.
Second grade, fifth grade, and eighth grade.
What is the distinction between open enrollment versus the tuition agreement? Why is the,
Yeah, so in order to open enroll, unless you moved, then you can waive that deadline. Otherwise, what we do is if the deadline's passed, we usually have them fill out a tuition waiver and an open enrollment, so then when March comes around, we have their open enrollment form already, and we just take care of it, we don't have to go find it. So, for example, you would open enroll for 24, 25, but you have to have your application in before March 1st. And otherwise, then it would be a tuition.
financially, though, no
There's
consequence or?
No, it's basically, districts have agreed just to, no tuition.
I'll make a motion to accept the Bouts family.
Okay, I got a motion by Shannon.
Discussion point is the fifth grade. I think prior we had been concerned with the fifth grade when the Haas family had asked originally for fifth grade.
Yes,
Yep.
that is true, but now we're split it
No, split.
between the three teachers.
No concern on that?
That's why I asked.
No, we were looking to split it anyway. We were looking for a teacher before the Haver.
And we would like to keep that position open.
Yep.
That teaching position open, so if anybody does come along, then they can easily come in.
And that's
Or
why I asked about making
the
sure that
Haas.
that's why, like, so if the Haas family wanted to still do fifth, because they're the ones that
Mhm.
decided to go to fourth. Right, so.
And my numbers for fifth grade, we actually got 2 with registration. So my numbers right now that Power School shows 29, but it would be 31 and be 32 now. But it being the split, but okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Shannon. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dwayne. Any more discussion on that? Discussion. Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Bouts family, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Transfer agreement Huff, fourth grade.
Yeah, and actually it's Aubrey Hunky, so,
Hunky.
Hunky.
I've heard of third
Bob
grade.
is
That's sad.
Third
Yeah,
grade.
that's what she's on the,
Yeah.
on our,
Sorry, I got it wrong. It's third.
that's okay, I just wanted to double check on that.
Okay, so it's Hunky third grade
Yeah.
is what we're at on that. Well, we need more third graders.
I'll make a motion for it.
Okay, motion by Dwayne,
I'll second.
second by Shannon on the Hunky third grade. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. All right, school board training, be legendary. The review request.
Yeah, I requested this one. I'll share a handout here. So this came to me through Joe Pulaski and some discussions with him. And decided to bring it to the board here. Yeah, please do. So I called Joe about some of the questions I had around school board meetings, certainly in the hiring process, kind of the process that went on there. And, I brought to your attention there, Jody, some of the century code around just meeting procedures, hiring procedures, what the board does not discuss, vote on. Earlier in the meeting here as well, I brought up my concerns around the hiring meeting as far as questions like the contract. Some of the information I was given around was that, in my opinion, we violated a few pieces of the century code in terms of the timing of some of the hiring. I understand that there was pressure. I understand that it was a short time frame. But when it came to things like the, background checks, the calling the references, we were given some misinformation on some different things. That's neither here nor there in terms of what I'm proposing here, but talking to Joe, he suggested that this is one thing the board can do around understanding some of those pieces better. I thought it was interesting. I'll read the prelude to it. It says, student outcomes do not change until adult behaviors change. The North Dakota Department of Public Instruction has partnered with the Elliott McMahon to launch a Be Legendary School Board Leadership Institute. It's an intensive program that's designed for the governing teams of school boards with their superintendents that are dedicated to continually sharpening and cultivating their focus. One primary objective, improving student outcomes. So you can read the pillars, but anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing that maybe we should entertain doing. I think certainly for me it would help understand more our roles, and I certainly like their goals. It also suggests that other school boards can participate and learn from each other to help, because there is a tuition expense for it that you can see on the back.
So we've started on this.
Yeah, that's my understanding, was that there was one done, but
So we
if I'm
did
correct,
the
only
initial training with myself, John, and Ty Dressler, and Dr. Peters. That was,
And Amber.
Amber was there.
and him. That was early this spring. There was still a blizzard coming.
It was around Easter, wasn't it?
First part of
I
April.
think, yeah, I thought it was in April.
Yeah. So we get the, we went through that initial part, or that first part, and then there is to be some follow-up for that, but I don't remember if that was an extra cost or what it was. But yeah, we basically crammed 2 days of this session into one day, because the instructor was from Texas and there was a blizzard coming, so she wanted to hightail it out of here, of course. But anyway, so we did start it. I'm familiar with it.
so just part of the current board attended then, correct?
Well, the two of us.
Only two. Well, I mean, more discussion point of it would be the fact that, I've been on the board for 6 weeks, and I had a lot of different meetings, and I saw a lot of comments like the mess, clean up the mess, the problems, this or that. So I thought this might be one good first step for the board to lead in the direction of some of that. Pretty transparent about the board's intents then, to try to work on some of those things.
the main, from what I got out of it, the main goal was focusing more of your meetings, to focus more on student outcomes, you know, versus, you know, we take care of a lot of business in these meetings, right? I mean, you know, but always having a part of your meeting that's dedicated to student outcome goals, you know, looking at your standardized testing, your data, and that kind of stuff, or having some goals. And we actually defined some goals there at our first training, was to improve our math scores. And
Fifth
we
grade, was it fifth grade?
Fifth grade math and,
Yep.
seventh grade English.
Yep.
I think were the two.
I have to go back, but I think so. That's what I was told.
I got it written down.
Yeah. And the follow-up on the training would be, you know, continuing down that path of improving the student outcome goals and working on your program to look at those, you know, and basically making that more of a part of your board meeting. And some of the other stuff that we do less of a part of your board meeting. Not that you're not still looking at that, you know, you're still looking at finance and all that, but you try to do that ahead of the meeting. You know, get your information all taken care of and your research done ahead of the meeting. Coming to the meeting, consent agenda is, you know, a few questions here or there, and vote on it. That was my take out of that day.
Right, and I think the biggest things were having accountability for the goals that you set too. And I think part of the problem was, I mean, that was shortly after when we found out Kelly was leaving, and then, you know, a lot of things probably got put on the back burner, which is a great excuse, but definitely, and the follow-up end of it too, I don't know if we ever heard anything back from her.
Not that I know of. Well, I'm sure all the correspondence was with Dr. Peters.
Right.
So,
And so that's probably something that we should follow up on as well with that Elliot McMahon is, where are we at now? You know, like, where's the continued
right.
training and whatever else? Because my understanding was that it came with the total, the $31.25 that we paid.
That we should be getting more?
Yes,
That
was my understanding. And I remember after we went, our next meeting, we talked about it, and then we asked when we were gonna have follow-up, and
That's right.
there wasn't.
Who did we
We were
share
just
with?
told we were gonna be looked into.
Who did we share? Kildare?
Kildare.
Kildare, yeah.
Didn't any of them attend, or?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they had 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, we met in Dickinson.
Their superintendent, their business manager, and I think 3 board members. Yeah.
Well, personally, what you said is something I'd be interested in seeing more do. When you talk about progress, outcome goals for the students, just understanding our success program within our schools, I'd love to see the board spend more time on that. I mean, to your point, financials, the bricks and mortar, the activity is important, but I think it would be something that would strengthen. And then, John, you made a good point that I honed in on was, okay, so we had discontinuity among our administration, and we've been dealing with that. Mr. Belts is interim, so if this program is worth its salt, why setting some foundational goals that can carry through administrative changes would be of value, in my opinion.
I will say for the follow-up and everything that hasn't happened, it's not worth that, in my opinion. And I'm not blaming that on them. That might be lack of communication from Kelly's end. I don't know. But what I can say is what we got out of that and the follow-up and everything else, it's not worth anything in here.
It's not worth $12,500.
Well, and there's a
Well,
grant
and we
then to.
only would have been $31.25 of it, but.
Right, but I mean, whatever this company was that put this on
Right.
for us, and then the
Right,
scale that
that's what
came
they
out,
would have got paid.
whatever,
That
I'm
wasn't
like,
worth that.
yeah, that's a lot of money for what you taught us here. You know? But, yeah, I mean, it was state, you know.
But I would be
state-based
interested
happening, school
to have,
was happening.
I don't know, I can or somebody follow up with them to figure out what we're doing for this follow-up stuff we were supposed to have.
Do you have any contact info, Amber? Contact?
We could probably get
Contact
ahold of-
Joe.
Yeah,
His number's right on.
Oh, yeah, I guess. we
Yeah,
probably
Joe would
know
have the-
Who came out to teach up there.
I don't.
Who trained us?
I'm sure I got it written down. But yeah, I mean, it was basically, I feel like, thanks for your money, see you later.
Well, they were in contact with me before the meeting, and after the meeting, I never got another
Right.
email for it.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys talk about.
We had a state program set.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the presentation of it, like this, but going through it, and lack of follow-up and everything else, and I don't see value in it.
Is it fair to say that maybe considering the circumstances with the lack of attendance or the blizzard, that
Yeah.
perhaps it,
I don't know, it's hard to say, because that was my experience, you know, I mean, so it's tough to say what would have been different or whatever, but I wouldn't want to sit through it again for what we got out of it myself.
Do you want Amber to check into the follow-up?
Yeah, I think we should absolutely follow up and figure out, say, hey, you know, we were told there was gonna be more to this than
Right, especially those paid for.
that half day, or 3/4 of a day, or whatever it was, 3 o'clock, I think we went till.
Yeah. Yeah.
8 to 3 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, she wrapped it up fast.
But I guess the one thing that I did get out of it was when we were talking with Killdeer on how their consent agenda is basically, they spend 30 seconds on it unless there's something that somebody notices they have a question on. It's not sit and read it during the meeting and take 15, 20 minutes to go through it. It's have it pre-read before you get there, and if you have questions, that's when you address them versus sitting and reading through everything. And then that's cutting down on your overall time, which gives you more time spent on student outcomes.
so you're saying Killdeer did adopt and?
They did it before they even
Some
came to
pieces?
that.
Oh, okay.
That's what they were already
Yeah,
doing before they came.
They're kind of ahead of the deal on it.
Yeah.
So on that point, is that something that, how do we get to that? How do we get to where the board gets involved in some of that?
Well, and I think that was supposed to be some of the follow-up
Yeah, okay.
information and training on it too, and like I said, it just has been non-existent, so.
Okay.
Whether that's a lack of Kelly's communication or their communication, or I'm not sure where, but.
Yeah, if you want to get there, I mean, you know, I don't know if the rest of the board needs to take that initial training as well. Whether you can do it watching a video or go to another, you know, you can jump in with another school that's having it somewhere too. It's pretty generic.
Right.
You know, it's not like you have to be a specific Richardson partnered with another school. You can jump in somewhere else's.
And she made that comment.
Yeah, she did.
Well, I guess the only action item I'd suggest then is contacting further and see where we're at. So what I'm hearing is you guys think that we actually are engaged in this program already, and maybe they owe us some training, and maybe we should reconsider where we're even at with it, or?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, follow up.
Okay, I'll do the legwork on that. I already talked to Joe about it. I'll discuss a little more, bring some more information to the next meeting for you. If that's agreeable.
So you don't want Amber to call, take that off her list?
Yeah, I don't see any reason. I mean,
It's up to you.
to me, it's as much of a board thing as it is anything with the business manager, so.
Cross that one right off.
Okay, chain
She's
of
not
command.
upset.
So again, one of the pieces that I wrote down over and over with some of the prior meetings was around chain of command. And it seems to be something that is constantly talked about between our schools and people within it. I've heard it in conversations where I'm not sure how it fits in. I guess my first question is around, do we have a chain of command policy? I guess I couldn't find it in either the staff handbook or the
There is no chain of command policy.
Okay.
I mean, if you read the patron complaint policy, it talks about how you have to follow,
Right,
you
okay,
know? So basically, that's just a visual of that.
okay,
So if you have an issue, you need to go at the lowest point possible and then
Mhm.
follow the chain of command. And the other thing is with the job descriptions, everybody has a supervisor.
right,
So when you have your job description, it's gonna tell you who your supervisor is.
Okay.
And that then is once again visualized on that.
okay. So is that something that's in black and white and printed policy for the staff?
So you
So
want,
couldn't
you want
find
the
it.
policy on, is it complaints or disputes?
Yeah, I was just referring to that one as how it follows the chain of command. So you can't just go for, if you have a problem with the teacher, you can't just go to the school board.
Right,
If you have a problem with one of your kitchen staff, then the supervisor takes care of that.
so to me also, if we have that, I'm not finding it, so that would be my first point would be that, to me, that has to be made more publicly available, or at least in the staff handbook. And secondarily, my question then is, if that is what is just stated almost verbally and understood by, whether it be inherent comprehension, the chain of command policy should have an avenue, and this is not my words, this is words from a couple people I talked to within the state, should have an avenue for a person to go above or around, or once they have addressed with their superior or following that chain, should also be able to go around. And I'm not sure we have that established. It seems like for sure it's gray among staff. It seems like it's something that they're uncertain how to go. I mean, dare I say that a immediate supervisor could take a complaint, a issue, and disregard it, and it dies. And the
But
complainant
there's, in
is
the
left.
policy, it says if you're not satisfied with that,
Right.
then you go to the next.
Maybe you want to start with actually getting copies of the policy.
Yeah, that would be great if we can have
I
that.
mean,
It's,
Yeah.
it's in the policy folder,
Online.
yeah, in the school board. I
In the school board, how about on the website? Do the staff, teachers, parents?
Well,
Right,
we give out charts of what is exactly in the policy in a flow chart. So, and I do have a
But it
copy of
would be
that.
nice if they were all online.
Yeah.
Everybody could access.
for sure, some transparency. You know, Shannon asked an important question in one of the meetings. He said, why haven't we heard some of this? It was in regards to some of the teachers talking about some things. And that's a very good question. Why haven't we heard? I would suggest to the point where the board drafts some type of and I've got a few different drafts we could use, some sort of like request for inquiry that can be submitted in a paper form, something that helps guide that process a little bit, mostly so that it's laid out in front and that it's a very clean and well thought out and process that can be used. And then we probably could learn why we haven't heard some of this.
Maybe we can start with what we got. I mean, start with the policies we have before we change them.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah, do you want copies? Do you want,
Yeah, I
Somebody get
think
you
that would be the
copies?
first action
I
item, is
think-
get copies for the
are they
whole board.
accessible through our OneDrive as well?
You have access to all.
So you,
They need
you
to
have
be,
access.
I don't think anything's been done with that, but if you click on the, I have like, index page, and then you can just click on that, and it'll take you right to the one, whatever policy. But, I think I need to go through each of those sections and make sure that we got the ones we need, for sure that we have the required ones.
I know we had been updating some policies.
Well, we're constantly updating policies. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a part of that to every board meeting, so.
Yep. Yeah.
So the policy, though, is only accessible to the board, it's not on in any of the other accessible to staff, to
It's
parents.
in our
to
teacher
students,
handbook, the complaint process.
Was it on the web?
It was before they changed the webpage. I'd have to ask Bonnie where she moved it. It probably would be under documents or board documents. If
Because
not, we can have
basically
her
it
add
follows
it.
the format of a patron complaint policy.
Well, I mean, I dug a bit, and I didn't do an exhaustive search, but I
Struggled to find it.
struggled.
It was
Terms that said a lot was chain of command, so I expected to see some sort of chain of command out there and didn't find it, so.
Do you remember if it was on the webpage? I can surely ask her if it's on the webpage too, and then we'll make sure it's in the handbook also, but it was previously.
What committee would that, is there one of the committees of the board that would fall under to discuss and look at that policy, or would that be a
The
complete
complaint
board discussion?
policy came from the school lawyer.
No, he's talking about a committee
Oh.
for reviewing the policy.
The adoption of the policy would be the full board.
Policy, that would come in front of the full board.
Uh-huh.
You would, I suppose they could work on it and present it, but
Well, most of our policies are simply boilerplate from North Dakota School Boards Association,
Right.
and we change them, and then we
we
do a
only
first reading, we do a second reading, and we have it, so, I mean, that's where most of our policies, I think, come from. We do the same thing, but again, we should start with what we got, look at what we got
Yeah,
first.
absolutely. And know that my intent here is to try to take some steps to address some of the things that I've seen, some of the, statements within board meetings that were mentioned. So, I mean, I guess I'd make a motion that either a committee or the board take a look at the chain of command policy for possible edit, inclusion of some type of a formal inquiry method that is board submitted, and make that publicly available.
Is there a motion for the board or a committee?
Yeah, whichever one the board considers proper to take the time to review that.
I did find it on the website.
Okay. Where at?
It was under the district and then under patron complaint policy.
It's hanging in our staff entry, but it's not followed. Like last year, parent complaints went to anybody and they were not handled appropriately. They were not sent back to the teacher.
so was administration taking care of them, or what was happening with them?
There was a complaint that was brought to the board, and the principal came and talked to me instead of the parent being told they should talk to me about where I was thinking.
A complaint came to the board?
That's what I was told by the principal. The principal said that,
So the patron called the board member is what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's
Yep.
different than coming to the board.
right, sorry,
Yeah, there
yeah,
was-
Peter
yeah.
called the board member, was
Yeah,
brought
the
up at a
board member
board
more than
meeting.
likely told them, you need to go back. That's what he should have told them.
That's what he should, but Peter's told Barry that he needed to talk to me.
Wow.
It was followed in this building, but you should surely ask any one of my staff members. It goes straight to the teacher. And I am not in that conversation unless if one of those parties wants someone in that conversation.
Okay, we do have a motion on the table.
We already have a policy?
What's that?
We have a policy already?
We have a motion.
The motion would
No,
be to
we have a
review the-
policy though? We do have a policy?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
then
a
we
policy.
don't. We can review it.
That's the motion, is to review the policy, look at possible edits, and look at public availability of it.
I'll second that.
I have no problem with that, we're reviewing it, not writing one.
Okay, motion to review and look at the policy we currently have.
And make,
Thank
and
you.
review, and,
Yeah,
what do I wanna say,
if we
review it,
assess
make
the
changes,
public
yeah.
availability.
You getting this, Amber?
Well, I mean, she found what we have already, but
Right.
yeah, no, I'll second that.
Any discussion, any more discussion on
I'd
that?
also include that our school lawyer would be involved in that one, because that is an important part.
I'm making
Absolutely.
changes, yeah.
Yes,
On edits that we make?
Yep. or just be a part of it, looking at it and giving recommendations.
Yeah, I like that amendment to the I second that amendment, is include the school lawyer for sure.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to review the chain of command policy and edits go through the lawyer. Anything else? Any more discussion? Okay, see none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. Okay, finance.
Okay, 23-24 consolidated application was, again, I said we were awarded $121,000, and that basically, salaries for 1.5 teachers is what it takes. So we have 2.5 title teachers, so title's paying for 1.5, and then we have to pay for the other one. Out of district funds. And we'll need a motion to approve the application.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that before we?
I guess my question would be, when did you're talking about the consolidated application, right? When did that actually get submitted?
For what, next year?
No, for this in 2020. In 2023 here. When did it get submitted for this coming year?
Well, when was
I
it?
think it was submitted in May, but then it was sent back.
Okay.
It didn't,
Yeah,
it didn't pass.
I had to make a bunch of corrections,
Okay. And when were the corrections submitted?
like just this last week or so.
Okay. Was it problems with it that it needed to be corrected? Did we have?
Yeah, it was copy and pasted.
Okay. And so in your assessment, it was just done poorly, or?
Well, it got rejected, didn't it, you said?
Well, they told me what I needed to redo.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve that application, right?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the title funds.
Okay, should I move to approve application for title funds? Got a second?
I'll second.
Second by John.
Oh, okay, good,
He beat you.
that's fine.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
Click on that mill levy sheet.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Certificate of levy request.
Okay, before we look at that, I'm gonna have you look at this mill levy worksheet. Now, when I looked on last year's certificate of levy, the taxable valuation for last year was not the same as this number, but I got this number from DPI Finance Facts.
So ours changed this year because of the dissolution of Halliday's district.
That's what I'm assuming, yeah.
Yep.
So we went from 14,114,000 to 14,876,000. And then, so if, just to give you and you probably understand mills already, but you basically just move the decimal 3 decimal places over. So 1 mill would be worth $14,876. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, and then we have mills levied previous year, so we've been doing 70 in the general fund, 12 miscellaneous, 10 building, and 46 for sinking and interest. And so if we did the same this year, go down to the next sheet. And you can see there's an increase of 5.4%, and basically that's the percent that they're making you put in the paper. And that's where people, oh, you're raising my taxes 5%? No, that was the raise in the taxable valuation. It's 5%, and that's what the legislatures say you have to put in there.
Yep.
But the mills themselves are remaining the same.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that maybe this year, I know Dwayne had talked, it sure would be nice to try and give some tax relief And I think this might be the year that we can possibly do all of that. So we'll go to the next one. So then that shows the previous taxable valuation, present year taxable valuation, and then if we kept them the same at 138, there would be no increase to your taxes. Now, go back to the first page. Now, I got PDF on this one. I can't change it. No. Okay, does that make sense for everybody?
Oh.
Yeah, can we look at the second page again? Quick.
I should
So
have.
your zero mill increase, zero increased number of mills. So if you said, hey, the school's not gonna take in any more revenue, we're gonna say the same as last year, your mill rate would be 130.94, is that, reading that right?
Right.
So if we didn't increase, basically we're not increasing our budget at the school, our expenses haven't increased, runs even keel. That would be the number. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that or have that.
Yeah,
clear.
and so I wish I would have had my spreadsheet on here. So if I change the mills on the first sheet, say you want to do 65 for general and you go down 5 mills, and then it changes that percentage. So I messed around with it.
Okay.
So then your public hearing notice goes down to 1 point.
Sure.
1% or whatever.
But in all reality, we're lowering the mills that we're.
Right, so, I mean, if, and I apologize, I don't have the spreadsheet, but if I would change those mills to 65, and then you go back to that back sheet where it shows where they owe, it actually shows that it's negative, so it's actually less than the previous year.
And that would just be for 1 year?
Yeah, cause every year you have to.
Well, we're bringing Kildare in, I mean, we're bringing in X amount more dollars, it would be relief for everybody. Relief for everybody that's coming in from Kildare because they're paying the same taxes that.
Yeah.
From Halifax, right?
So then with this in mind, let's go to this certificate of levy.
Is this on the SharePoint?
Yes. And I should have put this, maybe I should. Can you open is the spreadsheet in the
Back.
board folder?
Popping it in.
I'm gonna send it to you. You can open that one, then we can manipulate the numbers.
Share file or email?
I'll just share. Okay.
Are you popping in numbers? Do you want the computer?
No, I'll tell you.
Okay.
So here is basically the breakdown of the money that we are going to be levying. So the general fund is 70 mils, or 12% of your 12% increase from last year, I think. So it's the lesser of the two. So the general fund that's at 70 mils there, and you can see it generates about 1,041,000. So keeping in mind, if we go down to 65, it would be like 966,000. So what I was looking at is, and then when we get down further, is what we levied last year and trying to stay with that same amount, you know, and maybe drop the mills a little. So each of these is 70, it's 12 for the miscellaneous, 10 for the building, and then 46 for the levy. And that would be with the new taxable valuation. Okay, go down. And these are expenditures, estimated or actual. And what I did, we can change this budget in October, once Amber and I can sit down and go through numbers a little bit better. I just increased each line item like 3%, like the same you did for raises. However, in that number, in kindergarten instruction, it's more than just their salary. It's the whole kindergarten object. So supplies, everything is it. Does that make sense?
Why did the Title I move from 207,000 to 121?
That I don't know.
Because we got that extra grant.
Last year we had an extra grant.
Yeah.
For 65,000, right?
Where do you want me to go?
Down,
Okay.
down. Go down. Go down. Keep going. Keep going. Okay, there's fund groups 2 through 7. So capital projects fund, we had spent 321,887. You can see I have 148,764 in there. That has to coincide with the amount levied. That's why it's same with the debt service. Okay, go down. Revenue. Here's where I was talking general fund property tax levy, 963,000 last year, and it's estimated if you levied the same, it would be one over $1 million. So that's where I was talking about where we could possibly do some finagling. The miscellaneous fund, the building fund, and the sinking in interest, that makes the payment, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the school. What was the other?
When we took on that debt, did we increase the levy at that time for that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Taxes went up.
It's an obvious.
Yeah, we're like in the top 6.
46 mils.
46
mils.
46 just for this.
Actually, the total bond was 64,
Mm-hmm.
but we only levied 46 because we're using miscellaneous and.
That was the way to say that, hey, we're already levying these.
Mhm.
We're just gonna add these on, not. Okay, go down.
So the net that you're looking at here if you left it, when you say you leave it the same, that's a state recommendation of the raise, or how does that, when you got that 1.41, 1.041?
That's if we left the mills at 138.
Yeah.
Where they already are.
Where they are.
Where they have been for the last 6 years.
Right.
So if we left them exactly the same way they've been the last 6 years, it'd be just over $1 million.
So that's roughly 80,000 net difference versus the scenario you're in.
Yeah, and if you guys wanna go down further, I mean, that's something you can look at. And when we go down here, go down a little bit more.
North?
You know, county revenue, so that's
For oil and gas, what we got last year?
was 709,000. And we budgeted 500,000 last year, so that's where I kept it the same.
Don't forget, some of that has to be given back to the state.
Yeah.
Don't get it all.
Yeah.
I know, it always looks like a great number until you
Yeah.
find out that it's, we only keep 65%.
No, that's what they take.
They take
Yeah.
back.
They take 65.
We keep 35%.
It used to be 25.
Yeah, we keep 35% of that number, so they give it to you, and then they take 65% of that number and they reduce your state aid by that much. So it's not always as good as it looks.
So they take oil money and they spread it out over the whole state, but they don't tell anybody.
So the other, that's, just so you know, that's all, I mean, those are great numbers, but, you know.
Well, and that's what people see too.
Yeah.
You got all the money for this oil, what are you doing with it?
So actually, we should probably, I mean, do we wanna look at bottom line, like, current revenue, current expenses, as you've got it on here, cause that shows a budget surplus, right?
Yeah, okay, keep going down. And then we have for revenue from the state, I just took that right off of Adam Tescher's August voucher. And then I subtracted 12,000, because there's 5,000 was for transportation deductions, and then 6,000 was for RESP, and then another 1,000 for cognitive. And I just left transportation the same. Keep going down. Federal monies. Keep going. Okay, right there. So, there's last year's and then this year's.
So total revenue up by 44,000 roughly.
5,745,000. So now go up to the top, Misty.
Way to the top?
No, not way to the top. I should keep going. Okay, stop. Okay, and line 195, where it says 1,041,041, type in 966,
Let me see
966.
195. Oh, one line, got it. Which side, right here?
That one,
What do you want?
966.
At the last three?
No, change the whole number.
Got it. 000. Enter. Just
Now go down
to the way bottom.
to where we were before. Right there. Up. So you can see how it changed it from 5,745 to 5,660.
That was a 5 mil deduct.
Okay, now go down. Yeah, keep going down. And that's where,
Back up.
right there. So that's showing the expenditures, revenue, beginning balance, and then your ending balance. So you can see that there's 2.3 million in there, 2.4 almost. And that was with dropping 5 mils. Now, the ending fund balance, I checked into that too, that is suspended until 27. So that helps. Because otherwise, if we would have to spend down to just under $1 million to get the 35% plus 50,000. But it's a good thing they suspended that. So.
Till June of 27? Is that how that works?
2027.
Yeah.
Is this with that ESSER funds in it too? That ESSER money we were talking about earlier?
Is that
2, and 3?
included in here?
Some of it.
Some of it is.
Some of it is.
If we claim
So the ESSER 3,
so
there
we have to
hasn't been the
purchase it.
claims?
Yeah, we have to purchase it and then we have to submit.
Right.
And then they pay
Then
us.
they pay us.
But that has, none of that 500,000, I think was that number,
Right.
is in
Yeah, it
this.
was like 513.
Because that, none of that's been,
If you go back up to stop right there, go down. Okay, so like other restricted revenue, that is ESSER dollars and other stuff in there. So I went with 300,000 for this next year because we got to spend
Right.
sure.
231,000 and maybe some ESSER $3.
Right.
Right, okay.
Okay.
So how did you do some of the assumptions in your scenario there? I mean, it's a neat worksheet, but like child nutrition programs, I mean, eggs have doubled. How are we pretty sure the prices are we running a scenario that's at all misleading, any of these numbers that we're concerned about? Or?
And this is just a preliminary.
Yeah.
So we have to have it turned into the state or the county auditor tomorrow.
Right.
And then they have to they send out tax notices to everybody and then they put the date of our meeting on there.
Okay.
So, but once we submit it, then Amber and I can sit down and we can really crunch numbers and try and get as close as we can.
So we don't have to say, yes, we'll lower it the 5 mils this
No.
meeting.
No, we have to.
You would have to.
We would have to.
We would have to.
Yeah.
Decide this meeting, yeah,
Because our
Then this goes
tax
on.
meeting is coming up.
so this has to be approved by the county before our tax
The
meeting.
I mean, the only thing that you could change would be the mills you're levying.
Right.
Yeah.
So we couldn't say, leave it
No,
the
we wanna
same,
go back
but we
to-
want to lower it down. So if we said, let's leave it the same for the meeting, but then come the October time, we can't say we want it down 5 mils. Because we've been approved for this, so if we went down, I would
Yeah, I
imagine that
know.
would be a problem. If it would be going up, that would be the problem.
Going up would be the problem.
Right.
Well, you would think either way they would need to know.
Well, they wanna know now. what
No,
your-
it's before they send out anything to.
And, I mean, if you look at your ending fund balance and the ESSER funds you have, that's why I'm saying this is probably a good time to give some relief.
Relief back.
Now, granted, in the future, you might have to add more on, and then they're gonna say, well, you're raising my taxes.
And that
Then
would
you
be
could
the
say,
concern
well,
there.
remember when we lowered them?
And you can do that, and when you're honest with people, you can do that, because when you have money like this, if we have 2 million set aside, why not lower people's property taxes? There are people on fixed income in this town that, they're getting hit so hard, they're ready to move out of town, I mean, they can't even afford to live here. So we can save them 5 mils, I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it's something. And it's a good gesture, I mean, this community put up a lot of money to pay for this school, and I think we should.
Well, and we actually get, the last couple of years, we've gotten money from Dunn County that has helped to pay our debt
Exactly.
down on the building. So that money couldn't be used in general fund.
Right.
It had to go straight to paying principal down on our loan for this building. So that's helping us already. even though we got, what, a 20-year bond on this. Right, steel, but, and those are significant dollars.
Yep. It was a nice chunk of money
I don't
for
remember
them.
exactly what it was. I mean, it was in the hundreds of thousands.
Was that all from that Scoria or what?
From oil.
I don't know where it was from. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's
I'd say 2 years was probably close to $100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the estimates seem a little bit ambitious to me. The oil and gas for sure, if we receive 709, I bet you can cut that in half for this year.
Why is
Next
that?
year. Oh gosh, just the price alone. Gas, the value. Based on numbers I'm seeing in my company, it's gonna be half.
Natural gas.
Yeah, natural gas is costing North Dakota to get rid of it now. So, yeah, so I don't know, just caution that, I like the scenario, but,
I think it's a good idea to lower it.
Pardon?
I think it's a good idea to lower it. 5 mils.
Right now, and then right now, even with lowering it, this budget balances, and more than balances. Right?
Yep.
So we've got, what's the revenue, 5? Oh, no, that's not the right number.
Yeah, where's the total,
Your total,
total budget, total revenue?
Sorry?
oh, yeah.
And that was still changing,
5.462.
still, or with the 65 mil.
Yeah.
If we got hit by half on oil and gas, we'd still be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play around with that number if you want.
Yeah, you can make 3 mils, you can make 5, you can make 7. Yeah, I don't know, as much as I hate giving up revenue.
It's 2 million in savings for the school is a little bit much.
The statement was made at the beginning of this of something around some people expecting tax relief or something around just wanting. Is that a conversation in the community?
No,
No.
I just said, Dwayne had mentioned to me, you know, it would be nice to give some tax
Okay.
relief. So once I started looking at this, and I'm like, okay, now this might be the time, opportunity for you.
I guess I'm just asking if people have a pulse of that within our community, or whether we're hearing, boy, the tax, I mean, I get everybody wants to pay less tax, but or is it,
We always
hey,
have
I'd
people
like to
come to
see this
our
in this.
meetings. Every year we have people come to our meetings, just because your taxable evaluation goes up, and just the way it looks on paper.
Sure.
So we always have people, every year we have people come to that.
But the on-paper portion, that what's gonna get published, the 5.7% is gonna be there regardless, right?
Not if we change our mills.
Not if we lower it.
If we lower our mills.
And you said it would be what, 1%?
Yeah, it's like
Roughly?
around on 1.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Or on the other hand, are we hearing, I don't know, I'm neutrally the way, I'm just throwing some stuff out there is, are we hearing, hey, we'd like to,
Talk about property taxes, yeah.
or are we,
Really?
if I could finish, are we hearing statements like, I'd like to see this in the school and it's not there? Is there things that we're maybe not providing that also we'd be, this 2.5 million should be dedicated to? Or?
Because this is with lowering it, right? The 2.3, 2.4.
We also gotta look at, I mean, that's why I asked for the buses and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're still in need of a locker room remodel.
Yep.
You guys remember?
Yep.
To the tune of, was our last estimate on that, $700,000.
$700,000.
Yeah.
But I mean,
We haven't, I
just
mean,
the
we've looked
buses
at
are
different,
over 100,000 apiece.
Right.
we looked at different capital projects, so for sure. It's just that the locker rooms are the last piece of this school that hasn't been touched. I should say that, they were cleaned up and painted, and that kind of stuff, and we fixed plumbing. but still, there's a need there too. Yes, there are things that need to be purchased or done. Yeah, well, what are your wishes? I mean, do you lower at 5 this year and then go back up to the
Well,
5 next year?
I mean, you could, yeah, you do that, I mean, that's whatever, I mean,
Doug would like to say something, go ahead.
When you guys were talking about, you were talking about property taxes, right?
Yes.
You know that's gonna pass next year. That we're not gonna, they're gonna get that passed, that we don't have property taxes. There's no doubt that's gonna pass. But in the same token, how's the state gonna, how they gonna get their money if they don't get taxes? But there's no doubt it's gonna pass, but the 5 mills, I mean, if you have to have locker rooms and stuff like that, I mean, is it gonna hurt to do it one more year?
no, absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that, next biennium, sorry about that, next biennium.
Oh, yeah, it won't be this year.
My next question is, y'all don't get the prairie dog fund?
I don't know what that is.
Have you looked into the prairie dog fund?
Anybody, what is it?
A prairie, do you know what it is?
Yeah, but that's more for, I mean, it's all distributed, kind of like the oil and gas, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
No, in this biennium, they put in there that oil and gas will go to, is for cities that doesn't get the prairie dog fund is for cities that don't get all the oil and gas money like Dunn County. And now, because all these little rural schools are having troubles and having to do mill levies and all that, they set a certain amount back so that it will go to school. I think it took effect August 1st, matter of fact. And I only know that because I talked to Rich Warner, so, and that's what he told me.
So it goes to schools that don't get oil and gas money?
Correct.
We get oil and gas money.
You only get this much compared to the rest of the.
I'm just saying,
There was some of the others, maybe there is a caveat to that.
I mean, see,
Yeah.
like Stark County gets oil and gas money, but Ben's, Richardton's over here, and all these little towns, that prairie dog fund goes to the small towns where Dickinson, Dunn Center and all them get this huge amount. I mean, like 10-1.
Well, it's worth looking into. Yeah, thanks.
So do we need a motion to go ahead and send this to the county then, and we need to approve it?
Approve it, yeah, however you wanna do.
Let's leave it alone then.
Leave it alone.
I think we'll leave it alone.
Cause we're at
I mean,
2.4 essentially there, and we're at 2.47 if we left it the way it
Right.
was. I mean,
It's not.
and you disperse that over how many people,
yeah, it doesn't add up to a
is
lot.
it really gonna be, I mean, I am all about lowering taxes and,
Well, just, if you need to explain that, so 5 mils, the mill is a 1,000,
0.41.
with like a millimeter and all that, so 5 mils is $5 per thousand of assessed valuation, right, so.
I mean, it doesn't add up to a
Yeah.
lot.
Yes.
But I mean, if it was, just talking about it, if we could do it, that'd be nice to do it, and if we can't, we're looking at expenditures that we needed.
Yeah,
it's
then we
basically
should-
like $75,000.
right.
Yeah, I'm okay either way.
I mean, I am too.
I
I
just don't
just-
like raising it and going back up next year.
Right.
That's
Because
my
that almost
concern.
looks worse if you have to go back
If
up.
you have to go back up.
If you bump it back up again, but, versus running, just, run steady.
I'll make a motion, we send it off as is.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to submit certificate of levy request as is, or as presented.
As presented.
Okay, any more discussion on that?
Okay, when we say as presented, was it this scenario with? the
70
138?
mils instead of 65.
Yeah, 138 mils.
Yep.
So no change on
Right.
mill
Yep.
levies.
Yep.
Correct. No change on mill levy. Okay. Any other questions or discussion on that? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, what do we got in mill? Oh, is this just under that item B?
Yeah.
Oh, but except we have to set a district property tax meeting and date.
And I set it up for our next board meeting, September 13th. And starting at 6 PM. And then once that's done, we'll just proceed with the board meeting.
So are we gonna have our meeting to follow, or are we gonna wait until 7 o'clock to have our meeting?
No, we're just gonna follow right now.
Well, so sometimes this can go very quick, sometimes not, so I guess we're here at 6.
Yeah.
You guys good with that? Okay. Okay, so that's set. Okay, I was just in the levy board sheet, got it. Okay, so our next item was recording. Okay, so currently we're recording this meeting, and then the possible question of live stream.
I just had two people reach out and ask if we can live stream the meetings is all. So I just thought we could talk about it and see if that's something. They said that it was done during COVID. I wasn't here during that, so, but they were curious if we could do it again.
Yeah, I'm sure Adam can set up a.
It certainly can be done, basically it's up to the board here if we wish, do we want to live stream, so right now we're recording, audio, video, this recording will go on the website for 90 days?
I think it's up for a minimum of 3 months.
3 months.
Can you live stream it? Like people can join in from home?
That's what we're
Yes,
talking
we
about
could,
now.
Yeah.
But not just a recording on the website, actual.
Yeah,
Yes.
this right now is just
Participation.
being recorded. Nobody could join in right now.
So
The discussion now is to add live streaming so people can come in and watch it live, yes.
Yeah.
Which I don't see why we wouldn't. So,
Yeah, it makes no difference to me.
I'll make a motion to live stream our meetings.
Second.
Okay, the motion second to live stream, any more discussion on that? Is there a preferred platform we'd want to use, or should we just ask Adam what
I'd ask Adam.
works best?
Okay. I would assume that Zoom would probably be the easiest, just
Or,
because
well,
people wouldn't have Teams access necessarily.
So if we do Zooms, we probably would have to purchase the
Licenses.
because we don't
Right,
currently have Zoom.
right. Yeah, because I'm assuming not everybody has access to Teams. Or can anybody get Teams and log on?
With Teams, if you have a Teams link emailed out, anybody can access it. So we'd have to set up some way to email that, or there is a platform that's a webinar base where you can just log in. With the emailed out piece, they could actually participate as well. Put a question in the chat, do some sort of that type of thing. With the platform that's just here, view, there's no interaction capability. That's my understanding of Teams. And Zoom has a similar, but Amber brings up a good point, it is a subscription.
So can we put a link for Teams on the website and they can just click on it and join the meeting, or is it
For
something
the
that?
webinar piece, yes, for the actual meeting, it has to be an invite to a specific email.
Sounds like we need to let Adam figure that
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hope we don't have to spend, thousands of dollars on a membership or something, but, because I don't know, a Zoom license.
I think if we
And I
we
know
should
there
know
is-
that before we
You
pass
can do a
it.
free, like, there is some free stuff for Zoom, but I think your options are kind of.
Our church does all of our sermons through Zoom, so if you stay under 40 minutes per meeting, that's what's free. So if you go over that, you have to pay, but it's
We'll be
under
over that.
$200 a year, I think is what
How
our
much?
church pays, under $200 a year. It's not a huge
For going
cost.
over 40 minutes?
Yeah, so if you're gonna go over 40 minutes in a meeting, then you're going to need to buy the subscription. But like I said, I believe it's less than $200 for that a year, for an annual subscription to Zoom.
I guess we could let, I mean, between Adam and
Yeah.
Mr. Bowles, and you guys can sort it out, and if it's reasonable, yeah, just buy it and do it.
Mhm.
I mean, what's reasonable, under $500? Reasonable,
I would
is
say
to do this?
$1,000 we're going to having people have availability to it.
Okay. Okay, but that's not currently in the motion, so the motion is to live stream. Is that, or we wanna leave it? Yeah, and then just a recommendation that, hey, let's not spend too much money on it. Okay. Okay, any more discussion on it? Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor of live streaming, say aye. Opposed, same sign? Okay, motion carries. All right. RACTC, Dwayne, did you go to your first meeting?
Yeah, I went to the first meeting last week, Wednesday, I think it was. Very interesting meeting, kind of like, well, your first meeting, you get to learn. Some of the points, one of the points that really stuck out was they got an electrical program that's out now, they're starting that. They hired a teacher for it. Kids that participate in it, for every hour they are in it, it subtracts from their apprenticeship. So they get the benefit of learning and helps them on the other end too, so. There's a lot of good things with that program. They have a lot of tools that they send out. I mean, laser.
Oh, yeah, their equipment trailer
Yeah,
is
their
amazing.
equipment, and it's all moving. I mean, all their stuff is moving, so.
Yep.
And they hired another teacher for, what was it? Had one other teacher that they hired for what?
It was the nurse.
Right, for health.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, their health sciences are
Yep.
huge. I mean, that's by far their biggest
Yep.
programs.
So, yeah, I know we don't use them a lot. I don't even know if we use them at all. Very little or maybe.
Remember our calendars don't line up.
Yeah.
So our kids would be a week behind in the fall, but over 2.5 weeks in the spring
Right.
semester.
Something we can keep in mind. That's all.
RESP, who's on that? I doubt there was a meeting.
I think that's usually, Kelly was when I was on it before.
Yeah, Kelly was on it before.
I thought it was usually superintendent. If I remember
That's some
correctly.
notes here on who's on it. Damien, RESP.
It's a good, so I didn't know about the current technical. How do we know about these? We need to get on a distribution list or, and I guess I'll do the legwork, but.
The RACTC, that's,
No,
generally one board member goes to that.
yeah, RACTC,
RESP.
Oh,
I
RESP.
I passed Dwayne's name on, cause I was the guy. RESP, they don't meet every month, so chances are they didn't meet yet.
Okay.
But, Mr. Boss, do you know who to contact for RESP to have them,
Riley Madsen. Riley Madsen.
okay, if contact, we could get Damien on their email list or whatever, so he knows when meetings are.
I got it here.
That would be it.
Appreciate it.
Okay, all right, next meeting we got covered. To the end.
August 16th in Bowman. There you go.
Boom, great. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you all, thank you guests.